Hi there, my name is Lo. Welcome to my channel where I discuss everything between Hermes and grocery bags. Today I wanted to do a video about how I get good deals for my handbags. I think I've become reasonably good at this, especially given the options that I have available to me here in the Netherlands. But of course, there's always more to learn. So if you have any tips or suggestions yourself, feel free to drop them below in the comments because I'd be very eager to learn from you. So I'm gonna come at you today with 5 tips. And as you can see, I set out some bags for you, which I will probably use for some story time on how I got these bags or why I got these bags and why they were such good deals. So the first tip I have is stay on top of promotions. And if you are very sensitive to getting triggered into buying bags, that might not be such a good idea. But if you feel you have reasonable self-control and you want to hunt down the best bargains, these might come in quite useful. So some of the things that I do to stay on top of promotions is, for example, signing up for newsletters, following community pages on the internet that will inform me about deals. Newsletters can be helpful because brands do tend to send you promotion codes or try to make you aware of promotions that are going on, especially if you also put things on your wish list sometime or put things in your basket. It could be that you get informed about price decreases on the items that you have in your basket, but it will depend obviously very much on the e-commerce website. Some other things that I do is that I just keep the sort of sales or promotional pages of a number of websites that I will buy from more frequently. I will just keep them open. So this will vary a bit over time. Like sometimes I will lose my interest and not browse there anymore, but it could be like Net-a-Porter, Louisa Via Roma, Farfetch, Browns I quite like. There's also websites like Yoox and Glamout, although I'm not really sure if those are available outside of Europe, but I will just browse 1 time or 2 times a day through these pages, see if anything has changed, if they have new promotions going on or if new bags have been discounted, and try to pick up on that. So for example, one bag that I got from that is this APC Grace bag in the regular size. I got this off 24S. That is a website that I usually don't feel has such amazing discounts, but this bag happened to be discounted with more than 50%. And it was on my wish list. Well, actually not particularly in this specific size, but getting this bag in somewhat of a bigger size. That was something that I wanted. So when it became available, I snatched it up. Something else that I do find interesting sometimes, that is with Farfetch. So also today I saw that they have a promotion going on where you get 20% discount on full price items. And you might think like 20% is not an amazing discount. Will of course depend a bit on the bag. But the thing is that they don't always have the recommended retail prices on these discounted items. And that's how I came by my Mulberry Alexa Mini, for example. So this one didn't look like it was discounted, but the price was a lot lower already than the recommended retail price. And then I think back then like an additional 15 or 20% went off it because they had this promotion going on Farfetch. So then I ended up getting this at a really good deal, while this is not a seasonal piece or a seasonal color or anything. Speaking of Farfetch, Farfetch will not only just do its own promotional codes and its own promotional things, but I'm also finding that every so often they will give out promotional codes to bigger YouTubers like Sophie Shoet. So even if you don't find these YouTubers very interesting, it's definitely worthwhile following them just to see if they have any discounts for Farfetch, if that is a platform that you will shop with. And then you might wonder, well, do I have to watch every video to figure out if they have a Farfetch code available? Usually not. It's usually either stated quite bluntly or you will see that they are doing a Farfetch haul, and then you can also assume that they have a Farfetch code for you to use, and it will often give 10% off quite a broad range of brands, usually above a certain threshold of spending though. So always look into the terms and conditions if you are looking into using these types of discount codes. Then one last thing that I will sometimes do is to make use of a visual ping or web alert kind of thing on a website. So if I have an item on a particular website, I can just sort of put in that website, select the pricing area, for example, and then I will get a notification if a price has changed. One recommendation though do not use this on the Hermes website. I tried it at some point to get a notification if a particular bag had become available, and then they blocked me, so just be aware that is most likely going to be pointless. Then to just build a little bit further upon the line of staying on top of promotions, the best periods of the year to get bags or pretty much anything with a discount is when you do the off-season shopping. So because there's 2 collections per year, spring summer season and a fall winter season, so spring summer season is then rounded off by mid-season sale, which in the Netherlands is usually July, August, and then fall winter is being rounded off by the end of season sale, and that will usually be December, generally after Christmas, because obviously brands are going to do their best to sell as much as possible full price for Christmas still, for presents, etc. But then usually after Christmas they will quite rapidly move into the end of season sale, and these are the best periods to be on the lookout for a discounted bag. Because we are actually switching collections, it also means that a lot of pieces from the earlier collection kind of become redundant. Brands want to get rid of them, and that's why they will also put them on sale, which means that quite often you can get good deals, especially on seasonal pieces and or seasonal colors for non-seasonal pieces. I think a good example for me in this case is this Givenchy Antigona bag. I don't think this is a color that they sell all the time. Honestly, until I saw this on the website I was purchasing it from, I'd never seen it before. But this was already out there for a pretty good price, but given that it is red and it's box leather and I was actually looking for something in grained leather and a more neutral color, I decided to wait it out, and then eventually an additional 30% discount went over that already discounted price. So then I really managed to get this Givenchy Antigona with, well, definitely more than 50% off. Yes, it is a seasonal color, but the bag itself is a classic. So sometimes I can be really picky about the colors that I want to have a bag in, but if you're open to having different colored bags in your collection, especially the sort of fun colors, those will be the bags that are more likely to be available for sale. If you can and you don't have massive FOMO, it definitely is worthwhile waiting until mid-season sale, or especially end of season sale. Usually find that end of season sale is even better, but to really wait it out until those promotional periods to make a purchase. Then another good way to get a deal on a handbag is obviously to just buy it pre-loved. There will be exceptions, of course, like collectibles or pieces from Chanel or Hermes that will appreciate in value, but quite frankly, most handbags will just depreciate in value, and they will depreciate quite a bit from the recommended retail price as soon as they leave the store, so to say. So in the Netherlands we don't really have an amazing resale market. All of these places that I hear, for example, American or Australian YouTubers talk about, like The Real and Versatile Collective, those are websites that we either don't have over here or we do have them, but the threshold of buying stuff over there is quite high because of import duties and that kind of stuff. So we do have concession stores in the Netherlands which will focus more on the high-end brands like Chanel, and then we have some marketplaces like The Next Closet, for example, where I did purchase a couple of bags. Of course, if you are buying stuff pre-loved, make sure that you have your bags authenticated. When I'm shopping online, one thing I do like to do is to make advantage of the perks that online shops have. I'm thinking of things like free shipping and free returns. So what I will always do is basically to leave the tags on a bag, because I do notice that online stores are asking for that more and more, which is also a good thing against like counterfeits and that kind of thing. But I will just not use the bag, leave all the tags on usually until the exchange period has gone by, depending on the store, of course, because I think the Bijenkorf has like a 100-day return period, or at least it had a 100-day return period at some point in time. But it has happened to me a couple of times where I stumbled on even a better bag or a better deal for a bag, or perhaps like just a whole other bag that I then preferred to have instead of the one I initially bought. And if you have free shipping and free returns and a reasonable return period, it might definitely pay off if you're just a bit more cautious and don't start using your bag from the first moment that you get it, just so that you also have an opportunity to still return it if you stumble upon a better deal for that same bag or stumble upon something else that you prefer to have. I also had instances where the bag that I bought was the last in stock and it then had like some minor damage. Then when it came back into stock, I will just exchange it, and if it's free shipping and free returns, then the only thing I practically have to do is to exchange it. That usually is a lot easier, at least for me personally, than to go through the hassle of contacting customer support and asking if I can then exchange it. Exchanges are expensive for the companies that have to do the exchange. I know it's also bad for the environment, so it's not something that I would per se recommend you do all the time. Make a trade-off in terms of, are you happy with what you purchased for that price? And if you are, then just stick with what you bought. And then the last tip I'm going to give you is think of budget-friendly alternatives. So you might think that is a useless tip because you want to get the bag that you want to get and you want to get it at a good price. So what is a budget-friendly alternative going to do to you? Well, if you really have your heart set on a bag, then I would not really recommend going for this budget-friendly alternative. But usually if I look into my heart and really think about why I want to get something, it can quite often go beyond just wanting to get that one particular bag. So a good example for me was, again, getting this APC Grace bag. This is commonly known as a dupe for the Celine box bag. Technically, I could have gone out of my way, spent the money on a Celine box bag, and then I might have had perhaps more of a luxury sensation because I would have bought a bag from Celine and I wouldn't have bought a bag from ABC. But I've already discussed this a number of times. I'm much more comfortable having this bag. Personally, I also like the aesthetics of it a bit more, but I ended up getting this for like a tenth of the price of a Celine box bag. For me, that really does scratch that itch of having a bag in my collection that has that type of style, and that will also get really a lot more use of because I don't have to worry about it all that much, because this is not such an expensive bag as a Celine box bag would be. If you're thinking about buying a bag, then think about why you're actually buying a bag. For example, if you want to get a piece of a brand that you haven't tried out before, simply because you want to try it, let's say that you want to get something from Bottega Veneta, or you want to get something from Chanel even, it's really your best bet to go with one of their classics, like a Jodie bag, or should you go get a Chanel classic flap? Well, perhaps you could also go with a seasonal piece, or a piece that is not as popular as those bags that everybody is wearing. You can still get the quality, or you can still get the experience, or you can still get the heritage that that bag brings. Perhaps you just want to get a beautiful luxury piece, right? A piece that is well crafted, a piece that's made of beautiful leather. You can go for alternatives that are perhaps in full retail price, similarly priced to the thing that you actually want to have, but because they are not so popular, they do go on sale. So for me, a good example of this is this Toddy styling bag. I mean, in terms of experience, I think this is perhaps the most luxury bag that I've ever gotten. My Loewe bags, my Givenchy bags, they just came in a dust bag and that is all fine, but this came in a box and it even came with a little dust bag for the strap. How fancy is that? So just meaning to say that you can really have a luxury experience from a very good brand, and you don't have to pay full retail price for it, and you don't have to go out of your way financially to get those pieces. Those are my tips. Hope you found them useful. If you have any tips from yourself, from me, feel free to drop them down below in the comments. I'll be very excited to read them. For now, remember, there's a styling, a situation, and a taste for everything. So don't judge, wear whatever the bag you like. Until next time, or as we would say in Dutch, doei!